I feel like the Drew McIntyre that's sitting in front of me right now is like a very different man than the one who left WWE in 2014. What was the like first step in the reinvention process to get to where you're at now?
Oh, there's a lot of steps. Thankfully, I have a book available, Chosen Destiny, that you can check out. It's got all the details. but Step one, as my wife reminded me, wasn't just I'm going to take over the wrestling world outside the WWE and redefine what it means to be an independent wrestler. I'd like to say that, and I did say that, but my wife reminded me, no, you were full of anxiety, fear, uncertainty. You've been in 3MB for a long time, so you hadn't had any significant matches or significant interviews. I really never had significant interviews because I always read from the script line by line, never put myself into it. So I was very nervous, but I did believe this is what I was meant to do. I did believe I had something to give. I did believe I could go out there and make a name for myself and really reinvent Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway. And right away, I knew I had to go back to Scotland to get my mission statement out to Insane Championship Wrestling, ICW, where all my friends were that I started with. But business was on the upswing in the UK. They were doing amazing. They had their biggest show of the year at 1,500 people there. It was 3 weeks after I got released. And I told the promoter, Mark Dallas, everyone's contacting me. You haven't contacted me. Why is that? So I thought my friend would be upset he was fired, so I had to give him a moment before I start trying to book him in a wrestling show. That's not real life. Because I appreciate that, but I want to be on the show in 3 weeks, but I want to keep it a secret. So, he sorted out the travel. We kept it a secret between about 3 people. I showed up in Scotland, and a famous clip online, if you've not seen it, check out Drew Galloway Returns to ICW. I spoke for 20 full minutes, unscripted, just said everything I was feeling at the time. And it got such an insane response afterwards. It felt so good to get it out. It felt so good to be myself. I said some bold comments in there. I'm going to show you the real Drew Galloway. I'm going to take over this world as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to put ICW on the map. This little company is going to help take over the world. A lot of people watched it and went, oh my God, look at this guy. This is incredible. He's going to do such big things, including Mick Foley, who went on Stone Cold's podcast and talked about me. He texted Triple H and said, you have to keep an eye on Drew. Then there was the other people who had watched me in 3MB and said, this 3MB guy's out of his mind, saying all this stuff. He's not going to do anything. But that was phase one. And then I literally looked myself in the mirror and said, it was a tough few years, these last few years in WWE, professionally, but especially personally. In the end, it's on you for not, getting the help you needed personally, but also working as hard as you could professionally. You'd have been happy to be the water boy at one point. You forgot, why you came here. You lost perspective. Never let that happen again. And I worked as hard as I could, left no stone unturned. My saying now is be accountable to one person and one person only: social media. Don't listen to freaking social media ever. Everyone out there, please don't listen to the person in the mirror. That's the only person you answer to, and that is the only person I did answer to. Aside, the wife, because I still had areas I had to improve upon. The partying wasn't gone yet. I was still burning the candle at both ends, but I took every booking I could. I got as good as I could. Was lucky enough that people believed in me, gave me a platform to apply my craft, to learn to become a leader, to get confident in the microphone, confident in the ring, and built myself into a place where I was ready. The guy who was faking it in the beginning till he made it, everyone else believed in, finally believed in himself, finally became what Vince had saw all those years ago, Triple H saw those years ago, and I finally became, the real Drew that I could be. Once, I'm talking about professionally, once I broke my neck that one time, you might have heard about, I had to sit at home for 8 weeks for the first time in my life. I had the come to Jesus talk with the wife, and we talked about the partying and going out and how I'm giving it my all, but I'm not giving it my all. And I finally said to her, you know what, you're right. As successful as I am right now, my brother referred to me as a verb to do a Drew, leave WWE and become more successful, which was very cool. I still had a ways to go. I looked in the mirror, looked at my body and said, you can step in the ring with Brock Lesnar right now, the biggest attraction at the time. And people would look at that image and go, he can beat Brock. You got to work on the body. You got to cut out the negative stuff. So I cut out the partying that I was doing all the time. Within a few months of changing my diet up, my training up, my body changed dramatically. And then I saw myself in the mirror and went, that's the guy who's ready to take on the world. I figured it would be Japan, but I took a phone call with Triple H. And after that phone call, I knew it was time to go back to WWE.